Hi, my name is Ken Lasserson, and a reader requested me to explain more what consensus reports are or how to use it, especially if you, like me and many other people, have one physical sample, which a FASTQ file, which is a RNA data file, is produced from, and you process it for 2 or 3 different people. And why would you want to process for 2 or 3 people? It's simply because everybody uses different software and there's no standards out there. So by getting 3 different interpretations of same samples, you get a better coverage of all the bacteria that are in there. And ideally, with doing a consensus with the 3 of them, you will likely get a better idea of what is actually the best suggestions to take or the best suggestions to avoid. So I'm going to do this one. I'm using my own data here, and I'm going to just do 2 things. First of all, the consensus automatically runs in the background. So if I go in here and suggest count of mole drop as one suggestion, I'll get the suggestion. Information on screen and more information which isn't on screen is automatically added to a database in the background. It stays there for 24 hours. Disappears after 24 hours because usually in 24 hours you should be done with it. Either have downloaded the file to your PC or whatever and just simply aged away so that it doesn't clog up my storage and gives you more than you want to deal with. So we did 1 there, and we go back down to the bottom, and we go and we're going to do JSONs for the second one. We've got a second sample. Now when we go back to there and take a look, we will see suddenly a new button shows up, consensus report, and says 2. It means twice I have executed suggestions somewhere, somehow on the sample, and I have suggestions from them. I can now go down to the matching one date-wise, which is like it's the same date. I just haven't made things absolutely consistent. So I'm going to do the same thing down here, and I'm going to do JSONs. Got JSON's results, and I'm going to now go down and do sample 1 or count off mole drop and get the results back. Now we have a few additional ways of getting suggestions apart from the ones over here. Is we have suggestions via bacteria. You can work from the top menu and drill down here to a specific example. For example, I could go down to Explorer, symptoms versus bacteria here, and I can go down and make a selection of something. Excuse me while I bump myself off screen. And basically search for something like, why don't I look at 60 to 70 years old here? We have 100% proof one. Now, if I click here, goes over and identifies the bacteria. The bacteria has been done so that if something is extremely strong and to the extreme, it's automatically checked. Then there's a bunch of things which are not automatically checked, but which are marked by a little light bulb saying these are things which seem to be associated with this particular age. You could go down here and go this way. And that allows me to pick any particular symptom set I want and extract from there. But what I usually do is you have a set of symptoms. We have information about symptoms. Sometimes this is a match or mismatch. And generally, if you have a symptom and there's a strong match of bacteria to the symptom, usually it's something you probably want to do. So my usual process is to go in to symptoms and probable symptoms from bacteria, and it will automatically shows all the symptoms I have, which one I have reported on, etc. Fortunately, I don't have that one, so, and it's sort of from the highest. This one, I potentially, it's something which I would raise with my MD to just check to make sure I do not have that medical condition. The fact that I have the microbiome going into that direction means there is a increased risk. It's not predictive. It simply suggests that there's increased risk based on the microbiome. Abdomen pain, okay, frequent loss of thought. Let's do that one. Go to, you notice we have one thing which is automatically checked, and I'll go through and I'll mark the secondary. So I end up having just 3 there, and I'm going to create a profile. The profile goes over to the usual ones with the choices here, the numbers of choices here, and voila, we have the list of suggestions sitting there. And if you now go back, you'll see we are up to 6. Interesting. I thought, oh, I know what happened. Okay, let's not too worried about it. Let's go over to from bacteria here, and we'll do the same thing. And let's do one of the things here. And we have the items that are there. There's only 5 bacteria identified for this one. You will have the top 20 listed, but there's only 5. So I'll happen to do that. And then the ones which I am high, the reason it doesn't get checked is that it is in one way, it is not enough of a swing to really make it likely worthwhile to adjust. So we'll just go with what is automatically suggested. I can get into analysis, and I did a post about the numbers, etc. But right now, our focus is on consensus. So we go to consensus here. So now we have all consensus. We have 3 there. Now, if I go there and do view, I can just go in there and we have everything, the short list here. But if you really want to be correct and complete, hit the download and it will go and download that to PC. In which case now you have that information on your PC. We similarly can go back to the samples, and things are slow, of course, because it's the middle of a demo. And there we go. And I'll do the same thing here. Again, view consensus, download, and it's there. Now, at this point in time, there's two things. The simplest, a simple way of doing it is simply to open up the folder, see that, and literally just go and open up one file, which will open up in Excel. Open up the other one, which will also open in Excel. And if we want to do a combined consensus, it becomes pretty simple. We just go and go up here, go to the bottom, copy and paste over into the other one, paste there, and we'll get rid of this particular row, which is a duplicate. And now we have everything in one spreadsheet from both sets of suggestions. Some people may like doing it this way, some people may not. Again, people all have distinctive taste. But if you do it this way, then what you can do is just select all the information, go over to data, do a sort, and what we're going to do is we are going to sort by the modifier. And what that gives you is you will now have the values for each of the two samples sitting there right in front of you. You can see one gives a site negative, one gives a site positive for that one. So you end up with side-by-side comparisons of a whole bunch of stuff, which some people, especially those who are medical professionals, often like to have that available for reference. Most of the, okay, so let's not get into, there are some cases you get some good consensus, like for these two ones, you see apple and apple, both are positive. One is very strongly, one is not as much. Different bacteria are done. Number one we have here, very strong, same substance. Here, let me get this moved over. And over here you have links to where information is coming from. And when I copy and paste, I forgot to copy that column, which is why we have gaps intermittently there. So you can have stuff there for comparison between the two side by side. But wait, if you are not interested in doing this side by side comparison, it is actually built in. Do multiple sample comparisons, and you have consensus axis 1. You have everything listed there. I could, if I really wanted to, do 15 different samples from different points of time, etc., or whatever. What I'm going to do is uncheck a bunch of them. I'll be back in a second. So you see the problem with having lots of samples is you got a lot of unchecking. There is a way to improve that. I'll show to you in a moment. But here we have it, and now we could just go and view the reports. And the report goes and lists everything here, and we can sort this by number and there. And again, we have a download available. And we'll just call it consensus. So there you have it. You don't have the side-by-side comparison of what the two labs did relative to each other. The thing about that one is if you do intentionally the mistake I made, which is I did not, for one of the labs, I copied everything A to E over, and that one I didn't. So the result is I can actually, by looking at whether or not something is here or not, which one of the two sets of files this item is coming from. So that's just a quick FYI as a side effect. I have this new consensus one there, and basically it's exploring, etc. To recap, for people who are coming in, the avoid and take, we have both the void weight and the void count. The void count is the number of times which it has been on a definitive avoid list, or the number of times it's being on the take list. The weight here comes from how many studies, whatever the substance is, like Acarus gum, impacts a bacteria or many bacteria, and does it impact it in the right way or not. So if you got lots of studies and you have lots of bacteria impact, it's going to have a great weight because it is likely going to cause the maximum amount of change. A small number could mean we don't have many studies, which is the flip side is things which we don't have many studies on, which we are not so comfortable, tends to be given a lower value. Here you see the results of everything, and you can do a judgment based on that. For example, here we have something which has value of 2 for a tape, but the count is 0. That means over here 3 times it was a void. The net value of all the voids is 4.72, but every time it showed up, it was on the void list. Hence, we have 0 for the number of tape count. So it's always on that list. Okay, let's go back to consensus. And what we have up here is the ability to set things. For example, if I set it to 10/01/2021 today, and I'll do a refresh. Guess what? I just have just 2 samples there. And now when I go over to sample comparison, isn't life nice now? I only have 2 items. I did not have to uncheck the huge list. So using the filter here and doing update will do it. However, because I've gotten some emails about this, remember to undo it when you finish working for the day or the evening, or else you will come in the next day, forgot you did this filtering, and say, "Where's my samples? I got email Ken. I'm all in a panic." Don't panic. Remember to uncheck it when it's done. Basically, go and set it back to 01/01. 1900 is a good date. Do an update. And now you have all your samples back. So purpose of this is allows you to filter in. Notice we also have the ability to filter by labs and also by patients. So if you add patient's name, if you are a health professional, now you just make sure all the samples for one patient are there, and you have a nice, easy time. Just remember, if all your samples disappear, it's probably human error. Yours. You forgot to undo these filters. Always leave it with all of the samples showing on the filters, because you will forget the next time you came in and do as people have done. Where did all my samples go? Okay, that's basically it. I'm going to shut up now. It's sort of a quick, easy walkthrough the consensus report. Again, to recap, ex-teacher can't help but keep talking. One of the problems is we don't know which bacteria are the critical ones, and worse that we don't know if we are going to be measuring those critical ones in a particular lab or results. For example, Ubiome was original. When BiomeSite came along and 5 came along, I transferred my data there. So for some of my old Ubiome labs, I had 3 different processing. In fact, actually 4, because a couple of other sites were offering free analysis for a short while as their loss leader. So I uploaded my FASTQ file there, processed them, got the results down, so I had even more. And again, we don't have what people would like, which is the ideal definitive. This is the correct analysis of the microbiome. We have major disagreements of opinion. We have just a whole bunch of things. And my goal in building consensus report and the stack of different ways of looking at your health and ability for you to detect, to select bacteria by symptoms. The purpose is to try building a set of containers to try and encapsulate what is the most likely bacteria involved, because we don't know which one it is. and we end up having to do a little bit of guesstimation and doing a whole bunch of estimation and try nailing down, say, okay, these are things that are absolutely safe, and that is, we have absolutely no literature for any of the samples of it pushing things the wrong way. That absolute safe list is the sweetest one because you can toss all your different ways of reading your FASTQ file, your actual the data version of your physical sample through, and you don't have to deal with contradictory results. This is where we have absolute consistency. We have universal agreement by everybody, in which case you should have a high degree of confidence that it is probably going to cause change. It may not be a great change immediately, but it will cause change. It will be that first baby step to recovery. Okay, I'm going to shut up, boss. I'm going to talk for another hour and a half.